Oh, I just saw the live thing come on. It's orange. It's orange! Oh, no, it's yellow! Yeah, 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 yeah. Plumes of Hazard, y'all. Plumes of Hazard. What up, y'all?
The most professional show in vaping.
Mass Blast 09 here.
And
We got the Angstful Vapor. We have Understudy 77.
what up?
We got no Fubaka.
No
No, he's
Fubaka.
fucking out drinking or some shit. He said he'll be here eventually.
What? I mean, you know, forget it.
It's not like we haven't been doing this every Monday at 9 for the last 47 weeks.
I know. He just had to.
That day drinking, man. That day drinking will do it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They drinking. No, well, never mind.
Yeah.
Plumes of Hazard, y'all.
So we're a man down, but he'll be here soon, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So we want to start with what we're vaping?
We should.
Do it.
Well, I guess that was me since he's not here. I guess I'll go. Lushington in the K-Fun on the DZ. RDNA, Rose, and Raspberry as per usual. And in the Duke and the Tobe, I've got Nana Cream. I haven't been vaping this in a while, and it's been a nice switch up. How about you, Shano?
The Hannah, I have the Squape Reloaded with Agent P, Raspberry Mint, and my super tiny K-Fun. I'll size comparison that later. And my Tobe Chuff Cap Mass Mod Mini has some delicious juice from Vape Kitchen, their Competition Cloud e-liquid. We'll also talk about that in a little bit.
Competition Cloud.
Nice. I got the Ceramic Express right to the lungs. That would be the Aspire Atlantis. And I got it on the NA40i stick. Yeah, with some Forever Young, because that's been pretty much my go-to tester on flavors, because I've gotten so used to how good that flavor is, so I can really discern if something's tasting a little weird and stuff. So, but yep, that's all I've been vaping on all day today. So.
Yeah.
Nice.
Jay in chat just said that is some steep Nana Cream. He's not kidding either, man. This is probably 3 months old. It is thick and luscious. It's good. It's good. I'm thrown off by by food not being here.
I know, right? It's weird to be a person down. Like, I feel like it's wrong to continue, but I guess you're up, Brian.
Like, especially because it normally goes first, right? So that's the thing that's funny about it.
Well, here I'll be Foo. Ready? Yeah. Well.
Deal with it.
Deal with it. There you go.
I got nothing.
Yeah.
I got nothing.
Exactly. All right. Well, that works. I wanted to kick off my segment with a couple things. So it's obviously Thanksgiving week. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Make sure to hug your loved ones when you get to see them, and tell them you love them. That's something that sometimes comes a little more real to us when bad stuff happens. So that said, because of the Thanksgiving, there's a bunch of juice vendors that have got sales going on, and I wanted to throw out a couple of them because they're pretty banging. One of which is Bombies. He has got a 25% off sale, which is kind of ludicrous. I actually just ordered a 120 today because of that.
That's just because his 120 bottles are awesome.
Also because his 120 bottles are awesome. And also I need to try Agent P. Sean's been talking about it for the last couple of weeks, and it needs to happen. So I figured I'd go balls out and just get the big boy since there's a big sale going on. The second one I want to mention explicitly is DB Liquids. They have also got a 25% off sale going on, and I didn't say what the codes were. Bombies is Reddit25, the number 25, Reddit25, and DB Liquids is Turkey Week TURKEY week, all one word. You can find those codes on Reddit and stuff too if you search for them. But that's what they are. Use them and be happy.
Speaking of Turkey Week, before you get going too, having Thanksgiving this weekend, a lot of people are going to be traveling, right?
Yeah.
So as you travel, and we've heard horror stories of, you're with the family, you got the stress of the family, you need to vape, and your shit breaks, and now you ain't got no backups. Bring your backups, bring your Canthal, bring your Nitchrome, bring whatever the hell you're going to bring to rebuild, because, 50%, 60% of the time you might have to rebuild, right? You never know.
You should always have your shit with you.
Right, yeah. Just bring your little kit, and even if it's just, across town, or if you're going a few states over or something like that, do it, because, we know the law. It'll come back and bite you in the ass when you're there. So when you need it most, and you never know, you might go down to the local B&M, and the only thing they might have is that turkey juice. What
was that old one that was like King's Feast or something from a con a while back, wasn't it?
It was King's Feast. Yeah, it was the turkey leg juice. No,
I never had that.
I didn't either.
You never know. I mean, it might be worse than that. So
it's true. It might be.
I have a bottle of crab juice from.
Yeah, I guess it depends on where you live, right? Either you're turkey or you're having crabs.
Azure
crab juice.
Azul.
Azure vaping.
Azure.
Yeah, I have a bottle of crab juice that eventually I need to send up to Damien.
Is he still doing the best of the worst thing?
I think, but dude, I'll tell you, like, if I even take this thing outside of the plastic baggie that it's in, it stinks up the whole fucking room.
Yeah. Can we do an honor of Ahmed? I think Fu needs an honor of. There you go. One for me, one for my homie. Yeah, it is. See?
We've got
to deal with it.
Yep, we got it. Oh, hold on.
There you go.
I hate the fact that I know what YouTube video that came from.
Yep, we got it.
Hashtag white people.
There you go. Yeah, see, there you go. Now Ahmed has been in our present. Ta-da!
Yep. Just as good as him being here. Oh,
look at that! See, I summoned him! I summoned him!
You summoned Ahmed. Look at that.
Yeah! We need his intro.
Hey.
What's up, buddy?
Welcome.
Deal with it.
The day drinking didn't bite you too bad. You made it back.
We literally
flooding, dude.
Yeah, I was gonna say you flood your K Fund. You got the K Fund flood and pose.
We literally were sitting here going, one for me and one for my homie. So we're gonna have a moment of silence breaking, and you showed up out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I summoned the beast.
Yeah. I said it'd be a quarter after at the latest.
Yeah.
So what are you vaping on?
A flooded K Fund.
Yeah.
Word.
We forgot word. We didn't do that one.
I haven't even loaded up chat yet. I'm doing that right now.
We'll give you a minute.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll keep rolling on mine.
So what I miss?
Nothing much, just fart jokes.
Yep.
And a good delayed intro. So, Sean, if you threw up this first link, this is something I found on Reddit a couple weeks ago, and I don't remember the guy's name that posted it, but it was a repost anyway. It wasn't his creation. But this is why we're having problems with the FDA. And I'm going to click on Sean so I can see it too, which I just found this kind of an interesting little pictograph. We've got the federal and state government and big tobacco, and look at all that crossover. I found that kind of interesting with the lobbyists and all the state representatives and all that stuff that are on both sides. Kind of interesting. That's all. I just wanted to put it up there so people could see it because I think it's interesting.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I'm lagging super hard.
What's that?
I'm lagging so hard right now.
Yeah, you've jumped a couple times.
And you're dubstepping to me right now. I'll be back.
Word. So there's that. That I think that's probably long enough that people can see it. The next thing I wanted to mention is somebody that his handle is actually I love the NSA on Reddit, which I thought was funny anyway. And his comment was, "I'm so glad to be away from this trash." And here's the picture that he posted of him cleaning out an awful smoke barrel.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's things like that I'm like, you know what? That was me, you know? I was putting that junk in me.
Tar City, yo. Tar
Yeah,
City.
It's just
Now, don't get me wrong. I've seen a few atomizers that look a lot like that when you take them apart.
actually the top of that looks a lot like a square bar, don't it?
That's what I thought. Yeah, because when you first sent this picture over, I'm like, is that a squate?
That's the new K-Fon, yo.
Right.
Gnarly.
Yeah, disgusting. So if you're still, for whatever reason, if you happen to be tuned into here and you're still smoking, why don't you come talk to us sometime? Jump in the after party. We'll try to get you sorted out and buying the right stuff, so you don't have to do that to yourself anymore. All right, I have got one other link that I wanted to post. So this is a thread on Reddit again from the other day, and it was vaping helps with painful shyness, at least for me. And it was a kind of an interesting little story about somebody that has some amount of social anxiety and how it helps, give them something in common to talk to other people with. They can go in to a shop and visit and actually interact with humans, which for some of us is an effort. And I've told the guys this a long time ago. My significant other was shocked when I told her what I was planning on doing with these guys making this show. She's like, "You're gonna go in front of people and like just talk voluntarily?" I mean, professionally, I do this at my job like all the time, but this is different. This is something I'm doing voluntarily, of my own volition and whatever. But so I wouldn't consider myself having painful awkwardness or whatever in person. But at the same time, this is a little outside my comfort zone. But this gives us something to talk about, which I think is kind of cool. And on the same note, and we were supposed to talk about this last week, and we didn't get around to it, but I was going to share that link. And the other thing I was going to tell you is I was at a con, not a vaping con, but a different convention. And during one of the breaks, I stepped out to go vape, and there was another vapor out there, and he was pulling on his. He had an MVP and a Nautilus or something, and he said he had his IPV and Limo was in the car or whatever. He didn't want to bring it in, but it was just kind of cool, just like running into this dude, and I got to talk to him for a little bit, and come to find out he's got Asperger's, and that was something that his doctor, nicotine was something that his doctor actually suggested as a way of mitigating some of the symptoms of that little problem. And by little, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
Potential health benefits to nicotine.
Yeah,
In
I didn't mean
small
to.
enough doses, there's a lot of potential health benefits.
There is. So there's that. So Asperger's is like that, and other things that are on the scale or on the. Oh Lord, what's Asperger's? I just drew a complete blank. What's it a subset of? What's that disorder that people have, like freaking Rain Man and all that?
Asperger's?
Autism?
Autism, thank you. On the autism spectrum. Thank you, Ahmed. So there's that, but I've actually got a friend who is who's got a type of Tourette's, and in case you don't know, Tourette's isn't always the swearing thing or whatever. A lot of times it's just either vocal tics or physical tics, like you'll twitch and that kind of thing. And nicotine helps with that too. It's just one of those things that smooths you out a little bit and lets your body kind of not freak out. Anyway, I think it's everybody's saying autism. Yeah, sorry, I just drew a complete blank when I was trying to talk about that. But I think that's kind of a cool thing about Nick. It's one of those things that people don't mention, that it's not this big evil thing that those of us that grew up in the 80s and 90s were brainwashed to think that it's some evil chemical that's going to kill you, like heroin or whatever. But something that actually helped people with some struggles. That's it. That's all I want to say. I think vaping's cool like that. It gives people a way of interacting with each other without having to be terribly awkward.
Yeah, I agree.
I know some people that have been using the actual nicotine that were not.
It's still pretty awkward.
It
That we're
can be.
not-
I mean, you need only watch our live Vape Mania show to see pretty awkward.
Absolutely.
I've seen
Turned out better than I expected.
I've seen nicotine. The people who didn't smoke before use nicotine for, attention disorders.
Yep.
It actually focuses them, and it helps them a lot, you know. And I'm talking about, you know, they're doing 3 milligram, you know, nothing crazy. So,
Sure.
you know, more power to them.
Absolutely. So that's what I've got on my section. Fu, you want to go back and do you have anything in news review stuff to talk about?
I got to play with the Beyond Vape Solara DNA mod. It was more so I played with it on behalf of Sean because he can't have enough DNA mods. I was at Beyond Vape on Friday, got to play around with it. And to me, it's a scaled up eye stick. It's a little meatier, it's a little beefier, and it's a DNA mod. But in store, it's $155 fucking for a DNA 30, so it's a steal.
Wow.
And if you buy it in store,
and that
you
comes
get
with juice and a tank. Online, it's $175.
It comes with for $155. You get their silo tank, which is their Clero, I believe. They put their testers in there, and it's not a bad tank. And 5 of their house blends. Whether or not you vape them, that's up to you. But it's a deal.
Right. Bottom line, still
yeah,
steal.
deal. So I go online to buy it, $175.
And it's like 2,400 milliamp hour battery, DNA 30. Like I think that's probably one of the cheapest DNA mods you can get right now.
Certainly. And that's a built-in lipo, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's 26.
It is quite solid.
Pretty sure it's 2,600 watt. What else you got, Phil?
That's it, I think. I haven't tried anything new. Unless there's something I should talk about that I should talk about that I'm not talking about, but I don't think anything like that is crossing my mind.
I don't think there's anything that you should talk about that you're not talking about.
Probably not. Joe User in the chat just mentioned that the study linking nicotine addiction to heroin and cocaine addiction was financed by Big Pharma to sell Nicorette gum. Google it, he said. All right.
Nice.
Don't doubt it. Don't doubt it.
The campaign against what?
The study that's oft referenced when people talk about how bad nicotine is for you and comparing it, drawing parallels between heroin addiction and all that.
Yeah.
No, you know what's funny is obviously any like sane person will draw the parallel between that and and caffeine. And funnily enough, I find myself more dependent on caffeine than I am on nicotine.
I don't really have much of a nicotine dependency left. I can
look at it this way: like I've been doing 6 milligrams for almost a year now, and I can go. What is more likely to happen? I go 4 hours into my day without having coffee or having a vape. I've gone 4 hours into my day without having a vape, just because I've been too fucking busy to hit it.
I can't really do 6 anymore. I'm down to 3 or 0.
Yeah, and and some people will get there and some people won't, And also other people who are vaping or just getting into the scene or anything like that, don't look down on people who are down at 0 or down at 3 or down at 1.5. It's happening. It's we're seeing the evolution of the juices. I mean, very rare was a 3. Now the 3 is very popular. People stepping down.
He's got a 1.5.
There's a lot of juice vendors like Vibrat who only make juice up to like 6 milligram. They don't make.
Yeah, and if it's helping people get to that point, and giving them a feeling that they're actually winning themselves off of something, hey,
right, more power to them.
That's what you want.
I bust some of my customers' balls for every time they're like, "Do you have it in 3?" And depending on what kind of shop you work in, 3s and 6s are gonna be the first ones to go.
Yeah.
And so I'll only have 6 left. I'm like, I'll jokingly tell them, like, stop being a pussy and vape some 6.
I'm almost to that point where I can't vape 6 though.
I'm vaping 6 on point 2. How about you?
Yeah, I can't. No, 0 on a dripper. Only 0. I've been like that for months.
And I've told people this a lot, that I stepped down not really on purpose. I started vaping for harm reduction, and if I was going to step down, fine. But I only stepped down when I realized I was getting Nick sick at the level that I was vaping, either the wattage or the frequency.
Yeah.
And I realized I was getting Nick sick, so the next order I stepped down and Nick. I mean, I've been at 6 though for a while. This is like last December.
Yep, same. When I started dripping, I think I was vaping whatever 12. I was trying to get rid of all the 12s I had and tried dripping through those, and I got through about half.
Yeah.
Before I tapped out and switched to 6. But some flavors even I do in 3, just because some flavors have their own natural harshness, and 6 milligrams of nic doesn't help.
Yeah.
Like my next order per edition is going to be in a 3, but everything else I'm doing 6.
So I just got this picture. Somebody had been messaging me, a guy that I know, Nick Golddinger. He's a drip tip maker, and he wanted to make sure that he caught the show. He couldn't find it from his phone, so he just sends me this picture, and he says, "Bam, fucking big screen."
Nice.
So, fuck you.
That's
Look at
awesome.
my big fat head.
I thought that was worth the shit.
Look, and here we have beautiful stairs. Wait, or was it this way?
Whichever.
Mass looks like he's like, only you can stop battery shorting.
Yeah, there you go.
Weird tagline, only you can stop battery shorting.
Mm-hmm.
True.
You got anything else, Foo?
Nah, I'm straight.
All right. So the first thing that I got to talk about, a while back we had Vape Kitchen on, right?
Mm.
So Vape Kitchen made this new Competition Cloud e-liquid. Bottles are cool.
Hate the name. The bottle looks interesting.
Did you get that
I
from
hate the
Sephora?
Oh wait, put that back up. Look at that little nozzle.
Mm-hmm. It's a pump squeeze, but it's not one with a with like something coming in. It's got a plunger. So it's a pressure-based plunger, and it pushes the plunger up and then pushes the juice out.
Tell me that does not look like a personal lubricant bottle.
It absolutely doesn't.
No, dude, it could also be
The
foundation.
Vape Kitchen show would know that, would get that.
Mass, the makeup expert, will know that could also be foundation.
That also could be foundation.
So, Competition Cloud e-liquid, undiluted vacuum condensed high viscosity VG with dry infused flavor.
Dry infused flavor.
I don't know what any of that means. But Chuff is the one who kind of got me to reach out and ask him if I could pick up a bottle, because he said that the Cloud production is unlike any other juice out there.
Hmm.
And I really don't want to fucking believe him, but he's kind of right.
So, like, more so than, like, Axiom's 93%
Yeah,
VG, whatever.
it's fluffier, it's thicker, it's different.
Really?
That's what she said.
And that's at like 50 watts.
Out of your Hellfire?
But
Because that would be impressive out of your Hellfire.
I mean, even rolling this thing at like 30 watts, it was the fucking cloud output was really good, and it's very light. The whole vape as a whole is light.
Interesting. And you said that, I think you told me before that was vanilla or something, right?
Yeah, this is Madagascar vanilla.
Mm.
I haven't
Ooh,
tried the other one yet. The other one is
Does it taste like lemurs?
candied grapefruit. I hope it tastes like lemurs. That would be awesome. I want to vape some lemurs. It's good though. I like it. It's good juice. That 0 milligram that they sent 2 bottles. It's good stuff. I dig it.
I mean, I dig vanilla. I may have to go pick some of that up.
So Science of Vaping did a sale like last week or the week after for the 1 year, and everything was 30% off. So I bought a new K-Fun kit. I bought this K-Fun kit. To give you an idea of scope on this K-Fun kit, this is it next to the Tobe. It's about the same size as the Tobe, pretty much.
Oh, it's so cute.
It holds about a
positively
mil and a half
dinky.
of liquid, and it's tiny, and I love it.
And it holds all of 1.5 mils.
Yep. But so what's really interesting about it is there's no upper chimney. There's about 2 to 3 mil to the coil, direct right there.
Mm.
It's all coil, and there's barely any space between the coil and vape. So it's the hottest K-Fun vape you can get, and I like it. I'm very happy with it. It doesn't hold shit for juice, but I'm happy with it. Because it looks right on the Vapor Shark.
Yeah, I mean, it's super cool. It would look great on the mod that I hopefully have coming next week.
It would look nice on here. Actually, I don't mind this.
No.
Yeah, that's not.
And I don't mind the mid-size K-Fun kit. I ordered this because I wanted to know if not having an upper chimney changed flavor, and how much. And it does change flavor, not as much as I thought it would, though.
We've got some questions about who's making the personal vape lubricant. It's the Vape Kitchen.
Yeah, the Vape Kitchen.
Yeah, we had Orin on like what, 2 months ago, 3 months ago.
Yeah, we had a show on with them coming on, and he told us all about it. He's a cool dude.
I should go get the little ampules that started that whole thing when I asked him. It looks like a suppository.
So now, let's go the large item.
That's ridiculous.
The Squape Reloaded. I ordered this live during last week's show. It's big. It's ugly. I had to order
all the
fucking
things
wide
that I told
base.
you months ago.
I had to order the wide base for it. I'm not sure. I don't agree with what you told me months ago.
I told you it vapes like a motherfucker. I think it's
It vapes
fantastic.
very nicely. But I have to relearn cottoning again with this because I know how to cotton a K-Fun perfect. With this, I have to relearn how to cotton to not get dry hits. The deck on it is the nicest deck I've ever built on. It's a fucking dream to build. As soon as I figure out perfect cotton, I ordered the wide deck because I think that's going to help. It vapes good. I have a few little complaints. One, it's giant and ugly. Two, where I would like to be with air hole is right between two holes, and you can't simulate that. So it's either a little bit too wide for me or a little bit too tight. Where stuff like the Rose or the K-Fun are fully adjustable.
We need to get a little complaining violin for him.
Hey, it's a review, right? You're supposed to talk about this.
It's a review. Pros and cons.
Like
Pros
some
and
shit
cons.
with
Yep.
his wine.
Yep. Continue. Continue.
Flavor is better than a K-Fun, depending on the juice. But it's not $70 better than a K-Fun Light. If a K-Fun Light is 95% of the way there with the tank, this is an extra 2%. $70 for 2%.
70 plus, right?
For like $4 a
Yeah, it
gallon.
was well, even more than that because I spent $30 on the wide deck to make it function appropriately.
Exactly.
So $100 for 2%. I'm not going to get rid of it. I do like it. I hate the way it looks, but I do like the vape. So at least for now, I won't get rid of it.
That's my hang up, man. That's the only thing is it's giant and ugly. And if you put the quote unquote nano tank on it, then there's no windows, which I can't abide that.
Same.
Yeah.
It does vape really nice. It is a nice tank, but I'm still, if I was suggesting something to somebody, I'd tell you to go buy a fucking K-Fun Light at $100 and not this at $170.
Yeah.
I will say, if you want a lung hit and if you want to do the big lung hits and inhales and stuff, it's got a 3.1 millimeter air hole on it. This is probably the best tank for direct inhale that I've ever used. I don't vape like that, so it doesn't appeal to me the same way that it'll appeal to somebody who does.
I'd say the Orchid is better merely because of the price point, but if you want dual coil, it's a different story. In terms of lung hitting a tank,
yeah. I did put some juice in, and
the
I
Orchid is
did
really good. Baby.
open it. Is the Orchid really good?
It is, but
Well,
I feel like
I
you need
had the first version. So I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of weird because you talk to some people and they're like, "It's a piece of shit. It leaks." Even the latest version. Or why don't we have a two-piece top cap yet? Or why do we have to buy an accessory for a two-piece top cap?
Well,
so
the same you can make the same crucifixions about this.
Well, the thing is, what I feel what makes the Orchid great is because it's compatible with K-Fun parts. So
yeah,
the stock tank is a little small because the dual coil tank, which means that tank's not going to last you all day. So you throw a full-size M tank on there, dude, you're good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I wish this was two-piece and had aftermarket parts. That'd be really nice.
Yep.
But again, it's nice. It is. It vapes really good. But it's so expensive, and I don't think it vapes that much better.
And for anyone that's tried to build the original Squape, the Reloaded is miles ahead.
Oh, this thing is a joy to fucking build. Hold on, I'll pull up the deck because
no, the original. I feel like there were just inherent flaws with the Squape in that it was far more finicky.
So this is the deck
with that e-metal coating, which always creeped me out.
And I'll zoom in here and then I'll focus.
The e-metal thing, when the first Squape came out, that's one of the reasons I said no to it, because that coating.
That is weird.
Yeah.
A little bit.
But dude, what you do is you drop the screwdriver right down in there, whatever you're wrapping around, and then just tighten your coil posts, and then pull the screwdriver out, and you're done. Like, it's an absolute fucking joy to build the thing.
Oh man. Dim fingernails, though.
I don't even care. You know, that's the thing. Man. Somebody was talking about it the other day. I just don't care.
I know. I know you don't care.
You know what the worst part is? Is that he doesn't go outside. How do you get so dirty?
I do. I go outside. Just
No, you
not
don't.
in public. I
Alright,
still
so-
have yard work and shit to do.
I'm gonna go play in the dirt.
If anyone has ever been to New York City or Manhattan in particular, there's just that much people around and all the cars and shit. Like I just came home from the city and I showered this morning, but I just feel dirty.
Yeah.
Like my fingernails had some shit in them, and yeah, you just feel
I do
dirty.
still
Not to
have-
mention, every fucking subway I was on today smelled like piss. That's never happened before. I took quite a few subway rides today.
I went and pulled this out of the closet so I could show you in case you hadn't seen their samples.
The suppository.
The suppository samples, a little cute little drip tubby little type, but the little point.
Well, and they have those, and then they have the little black
These little-
ground bottles. Yeah,
These guys, yeah, I pulled both of them just to show them.
little
They're
perfume caps.
Mm-hmm.
On tanks. Anybody who's not aware, the one before
Is it me or
was
is
an
he
ass.
working out?
Yeah, did you? I think you freaked out. There, buddy.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, I was
What's
sitting
that?
there listening. You were like, "Meow, brr, brr, brr." It was like,
Oh, well,
that's what you sounded like.
I think it sounded more like
fine.
John.
For anybody,
I think he's
anybody on
still.
tank- Am I? Because everybody sounds fine to me.
I don't
you
hear him.
got
I don't
it.
hear. Oh, you hear him now? I didn't hear him at all.
All right, cool. That better? Better? Here, I'll just do this and we'll just go over it.
Go. Shut up.
So K-Fun V4. I'm still very, very on the fence about it because if anybody watched the video, it looks like the deck is made specifically for dual coil only
With one air hole.
with one air hole.
Ooh.
It looks very large because it looks like the base is pretty fucking huge. And I'm guessing it's going to be very expensive.
One would assume because
It's a high-class hoe.
if that's a follow up to the 3.1, you know that was $160 when it came out, $170. And you know, as far as the base goes, if you look at how far it is from the airflow down to the the base of the whole unit, that looks more like the 3.1 size than it does the light size.
It does. It looks like it's going to have a bigger base than the Squay Pros, all of them. And I mean, there's the feature list of it, so it looks like it's going to be big, and it actually says how big it is. I can't see it.
So I guess you're gonna have a 3 sets of tanks, right? Polycarbonate, steel, and then glass.
I don't know if you're going to get all 3 sets of tanks, or if it comes with it, or if you have to buy them separate.
Yeah.
But there is a steel, there is a glass, and there is the polycarbonate. And I mean, the polycarbonate's really the only one to me that looks appealing.
I don't know. I mean, I mean, personally, it is to me. It's a little busy, but it is at least different looking. It doesn't look like all the other ones that are on the market.
All I'm hoping is that my fucking Science of Vaping top cap will fit on it, but I know it won't.
That's the thing. So looking at it, I mean, the top cap looks identical,
But
and
it
the
won't
threads-
because it's the way it's designed. It's not O-ring anymore, so which means the chimney's got to screw into the top cap.
Well, do you think they're gonna release? They're just gonna release a new one that none of the old K-Fun parts are gonna fit on it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But like if you look at the M tank on the far right, I mean, those threads look identical.
They do,
Yeah.
but the top cap I think is going to be what won't fit because of the chimney.
Yeah, no, that's certain. I'm just talking about the tanks for the moment. You're right. The top cap might be different.
Yeah. It looks the same, but I don't think it's going to fit because the chimney has to lock into this top cap.
For the top cap.
The M tank, and I hope it's the same threading because then if somebody starts making new top caps, you can do nanos and you can do a lot of that stuff the same.
Yeah.
But I mean, the chimney looks so like such a bigger chimney too.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's going to change things around a lot, and I don't know. I'm skeptical, and if it's more than $200, I'm probably not interested yet.
Right. Well, I mean, to me, the biggest problem that I just mentioned a minute ago, the thing that kills me is it looks like you're right. There's 4 posts for dual coils, but there's one airflow hole, and that's that's a killer for me because like the Rose, I love the Rose, but one of the things that it has going against it is it's got one. It's set up for a single coil, in my opinion. If you put 2 in there, which I've done before, to me it gets harsh, and because there's not enough air hitting the coil itself, and I assume that this is going to suffer from the same problem.
This one says it has filling through the top cap, airflow control, liquid control, adjustable 510. So I mean, a lot of things that people have been bitching about for a while. It's just I wonder if all the other stuff is going to kill it.
Yeah.
I wonder if the brand new deck design is going to take all those enhancements and make me not care.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I might be waiting for the light version.
Yeah, that would be nice.
I just got my first K-Fun. I'll be waiting.
Yeah, I probably won't pick one up right away. It depends. Depends on if I have money and shit.
It's going to be interesting too, in the speed of how fast this thing gets cloned too.
Oh yeah.
Because it's not like they're taking the K-Fun and making it more complicated parts-wise. It's not like saying you're taking a K-Fun and turning it into a Rose, right? So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out too.
Now, somebody also mentioned the Typhon V2 or V3 or whatever is also in the works. I didn't even think to fucking pull up a picture of that.
Should have pulled up a picture. I know you said you were different, but I think it's ugly.
I think it's I like the new Typhon more than I like the K-Fun.
I like the old Typhoon better than the new one personally, appearance-wise.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I can't for the life of me find a picture off the top of my head though. So
we should move along. We're 40 minutes.
Agreed. I got one more thing to talk about, and that thing is this.
Mm-hmm.
The artist collection from Enjoy, of which I have not vaped any of them yet, but
I got to try it last week.
Did you? So they were supposed to send them for all 4 of us, and they only sent them for me and you.
Cookie man.
Yeah, I was in their office last week. My shop works very close.
Personal note.
Yeah, Eric. For those who don't know, I don't know if he's watching, but
Send me that note. I'm gonna return it to him saying, "I tasted shit."
I would send them to you, but I think they're all 6. Unpackaging.
I heard that.
And shit. I mean, it's really well presented. I have not tried them yet. I have a whole bunch of juice that I need to try. I'm probably going to do that this week. I have Cinnamon Girl from Raider to try. I did try my Sweet One and Suspicious Minds. Very good.
They are very good.
I have those now. I have some stuff from Hedonism Vapor that he sent me, butterscotch and pear coconut that I got to try yet. And so this week I got to try a whole bunch of juice.
I'll let Sean try the juices first before I get into detail about them. But what I will say is that I was pleasantly surprised when I tried them.
Yeah, that's good to know.
I only drank a couple of them, but I mean the majority of them I tried in a Nautilus Mini, and the ones that I enjoyed the most I tried on the drip. It wasn't bad.
So are they? Do you know the PG-VG ratio? Because that's something we were trying to figure.
They're 50-50.
Go.
That's what I figured.
But here's the thing: one of the samples I ripped, and it wasn't very harsh, and it was a 12 milligram, and I was very impressed with how smooth it was for a 12, and the fact that it was 50-50.
Huh.
Nice. All right.
That's all I got, Master. You're up.
Okay. Yep. So real quick, I went and was able to get the Aspire Atlantis tank. Y'all been hearing about it, seeing everybody, chucking them clouds, doing all that. So first thing I did was open the package. I took the whole thing apart, and here you see the drip tip. Drip tip's kind of weird. It's got like an inner lip on the inside, and you can see it from this direction. So as the air is coming up, it's not smooth. So there's an inner ring there where they did the bevel. So that's kind of interesting. But first thing I did was I took everything apart, took some grain alcohol and a Q-tip, and I swabbed part by part. I swabbed the tip out, there were small little tiny pieces of machining pieces of metal, it looked like. Okay, so I always wipe everything that I get down. I don't care if a buddy of mine on the street machined it and made it. Just wipe it down, people. You know, so I wiped the tip down. I wiped the chimney part down, the whole glass. The glass actually comes off the top part, and I took the actual centerpiece where the coil and the wicking material is, pulled that out. I did notice it has a screen around the top part of it, okay, keeping the filler material in, and I did notice that the screen was a little bit lifted. So I took my tweezers and I pushed it down to make sure everything was flat. And I cleaned the insides out. It was clean, but there was still some residual, you know, like machining, not machining oil, but just something gray. Okay, we'll call it that, something metallic. So just clean it, you know, when you get it. It doesn't hurt to do that. Now, this thing vapes. I think, you know, it vapes really good on the high level of the air hole. Okay, you have your highest, and you have the next one down, and then you have your smallest, or you have, you know, it's got a total of 4, so this is number 2, and then number 1 there, just tiny, 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 and something that low, I've been running at around 30 watts, okay? Airflow is great. I mean, you could literally look down in through where your coil is. It's got a vertical coil coming up, reads a 0.5. So what I did was, to fill this thing up, was I unscrewed it just like the normal Nautilus tanks and all that, flipped it upside down, okay, filled it, and when I filled it, I got to, there's these little gaps that lead right into where the, it's going to be hard to see because it's glass, but where the filler material is on the inside, okay, and you fill it up to there, because if you go over that, it starts dumping into the chimney, okay? So I tried to get as much juice in here as possible. Mills-wise, I couldn't tell you, but I will tell you this. I picked this up at a local shop today. Name of the shop is Pure E-Cigs here in Melbourne, and basically, price-wise, was it was around $29.99, so it was a good price. They had just gotten them in, and basically got it home, cleaned it out, did all that, filled it, and that was around, that was probably around 3 o'clock this afternoon. Okay, I vaped 1 tank full. And I filled this tank full, I would say, probably around 7, so about 7:30, somewhere around there, okay? And just in that little bit of a time vaping, that's all that's left in there, okay? This thing, this is, and I only have it at 30 watts, okay? I know people that have been running it at 40, all right? So I have it at 30.
75.
I have it at 30, okay, because I've been trying to do a middle of the road. I have, you know, the Max VG juice from Vaporator in there, so it's not a thin juice. I wanted to try something as thick as possible to see how it would behave. And I got to tell you, this thing's going to go through juice, and that is going to be the biggest problem. The airflow is not an issue. You know, compared to the Holmes RDA that we did a little mini review of before, that's, you know, as a dripper, airflow is on that is a lot more. So this is still a little bit constricted, so don't, you know, you see all these people blowing clouds and doing all that, you're not going to go into the cloud competition with this. The flavor is good. I don't think it's awesome, but this thing's going to be a pain in the ass to be having to fill that often, okay? Yeah. And I know, you know, I would say 40-50% of the people that I know that vape probably vape at the same level as me or higher on how often they vape. So that's concerning with the size of this tank.
How is wicking on Max VG?
It's fine. It's not a problem. When I place the juice in there, I let it sit for about a minute. Okay, and I've heard rumors about. Okay, well, I took a few drags and I felt stuff on my tongue and stuff like that, because the internals of this, look like a ceramic, polyfill style. This is really like a big cardo. Okay, because if you guys remember, like the dual coil cardos and the single coil cardos that had the vertical, they had the polyfill around, and you had although small, coil riser that would come up. So what I did was, just to see if I could catch anything, I had a moist paper towel over it, and I took a few inhales. I checked it. There wasn't any material on there. There wasn't any material in the chimney or on the drip tip. I used a clean Q-tip to try to see if there was anything there. Nothing. So what I did notice, that people who are using tanks or K-funds or devices that have a coil down at the bottom might not be used to, was there was a little bit of juice spatter. Warm, hot juice spatter coming up and hitting my tongue. Okay, and the way I knew that was because I know what it feels like, and I could see it on the inside of the drip tip. So there were some reports of, some hot stuff came up and burned my tongue or hit my lip or something like that. Well, depending on how much airflow you're pulling through here, that is a possibility. You're going to get some of that juice spattering coming off.
Sure.
So other than that, I'd say the biggest negative on the tank is obviously the size.
But you have the
maybe
same negative on the Kanger sub-tank, because the Kanger sub-tank probably holds more juice, but it's 25 fucking millimeters.
Yeah. And I mean, the juice flow is great for Max VG. I mean, it has 1, 2, 3, 4 different holes that is bringing juice into that coil area. Now, I do know some people that have rebuilt this already. Some people have rebuilt it using the nickel wire to use on the DNA. And in one of the forums, somebody was mentioning that there are some heads already on order that have the nickel wire already built in, so ready for the DNA 40.
Right.
I have another head. The box looks like this, and it comes with a replacement glass and another 0.5 ohm coil. And so what I'm going to do is I'm thinking I'm going to take either this one apart, or after I vape on this one for a while, take this one apart and try to rebuild it. I don't, the flavor and stuff like that, I'm running at 30 watts. I ran it at 40 watts. I'm not getting a burnt taste. I don't see any discoloration. So I don't know how much the temperature control is going to do on this. I mean, it will be nice because you could rebuild it and put cotton in there. But other than that, I mean, like I said, it vapes great. Good flavor. I'm not going to say great flavor. Good flavor, warm vape, and just it's going to suck through the juice, and you don't have much of it.
So I was going to say, you were talking about filling at the very beginning. I saw a thread on Reddit today by Lumberjack, and Sean's got the picture that this guy took of how to fill it.
Again.
He said the teeth on here are not for juice flow; they're actually to increase surface tension so you can fill it more.
Right, and that's what I did when I filled it. It came up over, and I'm like, whoa, trying to keep it from flowing over. But I mean, even then, it's very minuscule what you can do. And I know that on some reviewers, like for example Todd, when he was doing his review, you could move the tank and kind of put it over those inlets to try to kind of slow down the juice flow. I'm not sure that makes a big difference because there's such a space between those flaps and the inlet of the juice. So I don't know if that's really what that's there for or what, but I moved it and I didn't see any difference in the juice flow. But Max VG is flowing. I mean, you could see how thick this stuff is in there.
Yeah.
And it's warm down here, so it's not like it's cold.
It's worth mentioning the PSA and the possibility that they might be ceramic, though, because there are potential safety concerns with ceramic wick.
Correct.
We've talked about it before. I mean, we've talked about it before in terms of like Ready Wick and XC116. This is, this may not even be at the level of Ready Wick or XC116, so this could be any backorder ceramic, and if it is ceramic, there are possible health concerns with that.
Yeah, and I don't think
the people off.
Well, we had an argument with some guy in comments a little while back about this. We went into it in detail.
Yeah, I don't think Aspire has come out and said anything yet on what material they're using for the filling. And I think
apart, just let us know.
I will, and I'll have some pictures too. I don't think that. I think that might be something that's pushing people to rebuild them. So we'll see. The wire that was in there actually looks pretty thick. And these are the 0.5 ohm coil heads.
Mhm.
The last thing that I'm going to say about this thing is please, please, please be careful when you're running this. Make sure that your battery can run a 0.5 ohm coil. This is no different than you having a dripper that you've built a 0.5 ohm coil on and you're trying to run it. Okay,
Yep.
That is going to be the #1 misconception that people are going to have about this tank. They're going to say, "Oh, look, it's just like any other Nautilus tank. It's a 1.7 ohm, 1.5, no problem. I can run this." Please make sure that you know what you're doing with this, because I'm seeing that some shops will, I saw some posts on Reddit where some shops will sell this and not ask you anything about it, right?
Yeah.
Because hey, it's an Atlantis, it's a Nautilus, it's just like a Nautilus, but just more airflow. No, it's not just like a Nautilus, or a Nautilus Mini.
On that same note, I know Grim Green just put up his review, and quite a few others did as well. Aspire also did put out a sub-ohm battery for it. It's like a big, beefy ego.
That's correct.
So that's a possibility for you guys as well.
It's even with the Kanger sub-ohm coils, like for the Aerotank Mini and Mega, like the 0.8s that they made for it, like, I'm not going to give you those if you're putting on a fucking ego. Aside from it being a dual coil and 0.8, like...
Yeah.
But that's not necessarily the case with everybody, right?
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying, though. It's like, just think. Shit. Yep. I do too much of that, apparently.
Yeah. You have anything else, Masty?
That's it.
I want to do one other thing. Somebody posted a picture on Facebook that they were looking for a vape bag while this was going on, or a vape case. I actually just ordered one of these, the Vapin' Bags V3. I just ordered one of these today. I don't know how it's going to be. I haven't gotten it.
My local shop just got those in.
I just paid for it a few hours ago, and I mean, it looks nice, and it looks like it has enough room to hold everything. So that's an option. They're like $50, the Vapin' Bags with a Z, because they're 12. That's it on that. On that note, it's guest time because it's late, and
do it.
Tonight we have Sam, one of the guys for GenTwo mods. I've talked about him before. He makes a 500-watt mech box.
Welcome.
That guy from VaporCon.
That guy from
yeah, that guy.
Oh yeah, he was in the VaporCon interview video too, huh?
Yeah, he was.
Welcome, Sam.
Hey guys, how you guys doing?
How's it going? So Sam, you want to start and just tell us a little bit about the mod and a little bit about yourself and GenTwo?
Yeah, so we have a couple of the guys from GenTwo in the chat right now. Jason and Matt are in there. Alex and Sean couldn't make it in. But yeah, so we built a 500-watt mech box. It's technically electromech. Is that what you always call it, Sean?
Electromech.
Yeah. So we do use a MOSFET, so it's not distinct mechanical. But we can do 504 watts continuous out of it. It's a great box. I have it with me. I'm actually using a fogger on it at like 44 watts right now. But yeah, we basically wanted to design something that would give you a hell of a long time battery life-wise. You wouldn't have to charge it every day, or, well, I mean, most of the time we tell people to charge it every night, but you're never going to have to charge it middle of the day or something like that, because that's one of the things that we wanted to get away with 18650s was, excuse me, you're always carrying around extra batteries. And then we always see those stories about people having their batteries go off in their pockets and stuff like that, and we just kind of wanted to move away from that.
So you guys are using a lipo then. What's the mah on that guy?
It's a 3000 milliamp, which it's a 2-cell, so we get pretty good battery life out of it. I'm not a very hardcore vapor. Usually I'll run like a 0.3 or 0.5, and I'll typically get 3 to 4 days out of it. I know Jason uses our comp build quite a bit, which is right around 450 to 500 watts, depending on the build, and he'll usually get at least a full day out of it. And that's really what we were aiming for, was something that even when you're doing 500 watts, unless you're just pounding on it all day long, you're still going to get a full day use out of it.
Out of 3,000 mah, huh?
Yeah, it actually works out pretty well. We were a little bit worried about it when we were first going through the different iterations of it, but that's pretty much the best battery that we could fit into the space.
Sure.
It takes up about 85% of the inside area.
Well, that also kind of all plays into amperage drain on battery too, and the effect that amperage drain I think has on battery.
Right? Yeah,
because
definitely.
if you're not pushing higher, if you're way under your amperage rating, you're going to get a little more life.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how are you getting such great efficiency out of such low builds?
Basically, it's the voltage. Running 2 cells. So lipos have a neat little trick, I guess it would be called, although it's just kind of physics, where the battery sag is not nearly as bad as it is on 18650s.
Yeah.
And we threw up a video on our site I guess it was like a month or two ago now, where I built an 18650 series box and then ran them right next to each other, same build, and then we measured voltage drop. I think we had, or battery sag rather, sorry, not voltage drop. We had, I think, 1 volt battery sag, and the series box had, with 18650s, had, I think it was 2.4 volts. So it went from 8.4 down to 6.
So are these guys wired up in series or parallel? Is it outputting 4.2 or?
It outputs 8.4. It's a 2-cell lipo. So what we do with that, since it is a 2-cell, and typically you'd have to marry the batteries since technically they are in series, what we do is we pair it with the charger and balance cables and everything. The balance cables are, I'm not sure if you guys can see it very clearly, but that white port is the balance port for them. So we tell people always balance them. It's just worth it. It doesn't take any longer to balance it when you charge it. So it just keeps the cells healthy.
It's worth mentioning too that when you buy a box, it comes with the balance charger.
Yeah,
you get that with it. You don't have to go buy that yourself.
Yeah, it comes with everything you need except for an addy and some juice. We typically run 26650 addies on it, just because it gives us a little bit more deck space. Because with that voltage, you kind of have to run a larger build typically. So we typically build on 532nds, which people always say are huge, but it's really the best way to get it to wick effectively, especially once you get up into the higher wattages.
I could see like a 10 wrap 24, 11 wrap 24 gauge tasting real nice.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
What was that other port on the bottom there?
Oh, so the white port has 3 pins in it, so it's ground, and then one of the cells, and then the other cell. The red port is actually how it charges. So it's just got a positive and negative on the red port. And then what it uses the balance port for is all the power is going over, 90% of the power is going through the red port. The white port is used just to divvy out little bits of power here and there just to keep the cells balanced. And then while it's actually charging, there's a setting on the charger that where you can see the cell voltages to make sure that they're being balanced correctly. Okay. And that was one of the things that we really, really wanted to look for with a charger, was something that's going to balance very well every single time. Because that's the only way to keep it safe.
Sure.
So somebody asked about an inside picture in chat. You have one on your site. Am I allowed to share that?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So here's an inside picture of the box, and on Plumes we're really big on safety stuff and all that. And if you want to run through some of the safety features while I have this picture up.
Yeah.
So stuff that you guys did.
So right off the top part, top right, that's the MOSFET, and then towards the bottom where all those blue wires are going, that's actually low voltage cutoff. So it should be cutting off somewhere around like 6.3, 6.4, something like that, volts. Then well above the 3-volt limit of the battery. We've found that sometimes people look for it when they first get it, and they're really trying to get down to the very bottom, kind of like trying to run your car out of gas. We don't encourage that. There is a trick with the charger that we can tell you about. We don't like to release that information publicly, but with that, it does cut it off right around 6.3, 6.4. And what it's really there for is just to make sure that you can't discharge the batteries so low that they become unstable. Because after a certain point, we all know that lithium batteries, if you drive them down to 1 volt per cell, they start to get kind of unstable, and things can go wrong. It's pretty rare, but they can.
Right. And I mean, we've talked about it on the show for I don't know. Mass has talked about it a bunch of times, but you want to explain a little bit of what the MOSFET does?
Yeah. So a MOSFET is basically it's similar to a relay. It's basically like a big switch, or in this case, a pretty small switch. You apply power to or current and voltage to one of the pins, and then it allows the device to transfer a larger amount of power. So it's kind of like when you turn on, let me see, your indicator lights in your car. You're just clicking something that allows the current to flow between the battery and the light bulb rather than putting it all through the switch, which is very important with things like this because we've all seen, the switches that they say, oh, it's a 60 amp switch, and we all go, well, that's a 3 amp switch, and we all know it.
Right.
And a couple of us, I mean, if you've worked in car industry before or something like that, we know what 60 amp switches look like, and they're huge.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, they're gigantic. You can think about your circuit breaker on your house. That's 20 amps. Yeah, so, but so to keep it safe, we only put, I think it's around, I don't have the math in front of me, but from what I remember, it's like right around like 3 milliamps through the switch.
Yeah.
And that's really important because I think you guys have talked about it on here before a couple times, but switches have a tendency to, when you put a lot of power through them, they heat up real fast. There's a lot more resistance too, so you have less voltage drop using MOSFET. There's really no reason not to. But switches, they heat up real fast, and then they tend to weld themselves closed, which they can't weld themselves open because there's no power running through them. But that's how you end up, blowing up batteries and things like that. And we hear a lot of people say, well, kind of defending the non-MOSFET group, and then they go, well, you can take the addy off. And I don't really want to pull my 500-watt atomizer off of it while it's firing. It tends to get very hot.
Yeah.
Same thing with the batteries.
There shouldn't be an excuse for something failing, right? And there shouldn't also be excuses on safe ways of, disposing of something that's failing. So, if you're going to make that many excuses, then, I always come back with, because it is still, to this day, a very, very heated debate on whether to use MOSFETs or not, and whether the switches are fine and they're not. And, it's pretty much come to the point where there are some people that really, truly believe that using MOSFETs is stupid and it's for pussies and you can't hey, and what you want there's nothing stopping you from building your own box and being unsafe with it, right? So that's up to you. That's your prerogative.
The problem I think that we take a lot is that when people sell the shit. Now don't get me wrong, nothing is 100% safe. You cannot idiot-proof a vape device. There are always risks. What's important though is that you take the proper fucking precautions if you're going to market something to people.
Right.
Like the balanced charger, the low voltage cutoff, the MOSFET, shit like that.
Yeah.
And just to give you guys a quick rundown, and I'll give you a rundown for you. These are what, 180, yeah?
Yeah.
So for 180, you get the box engraved. You get 10 characters of personal engraving.
Yes.
And they come packaged with a balanced charger, and the balanced chargers are about $30-40 by themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So you have $30-40 worth of batteries, $30-40 on the balanced charger, plus engraving, plus the building of the box for 180.
Yeah.
Just to give you guys a price breakdown, they're not getting rich off these, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, we certainly aren't. The other thing that we include too is the master on-off switch, because Jason actually, he had some box mods before I ever had one. I prefer to build my own stuff. And he got one, and he fried the insulators in his fogger a couple times because it had the domed button on it, and it flopped over in his cup holder in his car, and he didn't realize it, and it just kind of cooked and cooked and cooked and cooked. Yeah. So we do have a master on-off switch, which honestly I don't use that often, but it's because I'm a super careful person all the time with it. If I put it in my pocket, I use it. If I put it in my backpack, I use it. And it's something that's just there again. It's super simple, just flip it, and then it's locked. It won't fire. Another thing that we did was we went with a flush mount button instead, because you have to kind of get your finger in there on it, and that kind of made a lot more sense to us than the domed buttons, especially because, like you were saying, Sean, there's always going to be people out there that kind of, we have to make it as fail-safe as possible, and then that's one of the things that we did with it.
With
And,
the 10 characters on the side, I suggested in chat that I wanted Link and Zelda and Mario and Luigi and Cloud Strife and
It's 10 characters of text. I'm sorry. But solid effort. Solid effort. I might get you a special one just for saying that.
trying to work that loophole.
Yeah.
Oh man, have we shared a link yet? I don't think we've shared a link.
We have not yet shared a link. Hold on, I have the product page up.
Have you guys, and I know this is something that we've talked about before, and I'm sure people are wondering, have you guys thought about having either the charging ports on the side of the box, and B, having, if not, then having some kind of plugs, or do you suggest people get some skins just in case they put it into something that's going to have any kind of liquid in it, even though we know it's protected internally? But
yeah, we've been looking into trying to find some just some inserts for it, which is kind of tough because they're on the bottom, and as you can see from the inside picture, there's not really any room left for it to get on the sides. But that is something that we've been thinking about for a while. We make sure that the pins are pretty far back in there. And I've definitely set mine in a puddle by accident, like out at a restaurant or something like that, and they're fine. But yeah, we're definitely looking into something like that, just to make sure that it keeps, like a dust plug kind of thing.
Cool.
And somebody asked about replacement lipos or any warranty and stuff like that.
Oh, okay. So we do a 30-day warranty for them. If something goes wrong with it after that, we'll send us an email. We'll figure out something with you, because on like something like a switch, for instance, switches shouldn't really go bad. We aren't gonna beat you down charging you $30 for a new switch. You can ship it back to us. We'll swap it out. We'll do like a quote sort of thing for it. Replacement lipos, we will do that past warranty as well. We'll replace anything after warranty. We have to do like a quote process for it.
Jason's specific wording was, our repairs are not priced as a second revenue stream. They are fair pricing.
Yeah, that's perfect.
It's a good way to put it.
Yeah. That's cool. I mean, because like if anybody's had a modder's mod before, I've had a couple buttons, that just went bad. I mean, I'm super careful with my stuff. I don't get them wet. They stay in my pocket, usually by themselves. But sometimes stuff happens. Something sneaks in there or something. But it's good to know that you guys are standing by it.
2 more questions. Stan the Man Chan, does the 500-watt box mod have ego threading?
No, it does not. For that, are you going to drill your EVOD tanks for it?
You got to use one of these.
And, Stereo Dreamer, I'm assuming that the people who are using devices like this haven't read Dr. Forcelino. Damn it, I can never pronounce his name. Forcelino's study about the dangerous chemicals that are produced from extremely high temp and high power vaping, and probably don't give a fuck anyway, right?
Well, just because it does 500 watts don't mean you're going to do 500 watts, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, mine's at 44
volts, but yeah, you can stick a 1-2 ohm addy on it.
Yeah, this one's at a 1.6 doing 44 watts. One of the things that we did actually the other day, and we're trying to find something that's a little bit more efficient, but I do have a infrared thermometer for it. And we threw my 500 build. It was relatively dry, and we just ran it with the heat thermometer right next, or the infrared thermometer right next to it. It got to, I think it was like 390 or so, when the coils were red hot. So at that point, I wouldn't have been vaping it anymore. It would have been way too hot. So one of the things that we did was, I think Jason will be able to post it in there, but I can't remember what his DNA came set for standard. But I think that the temperature control was higher than what we would have gotten to already.
Okay.
And you kind of have to remember something like that, which is, like at one point I wasn't thinking about it really, and I did all the math trying to figure out, well, how hot's the coil going to get? It's this diameter, and I ran through all this, I spent like a couple hours on it. And then at the very end, I realized that, of course, a coil's liquid cooled.
Yeah.
So it's way more complex. You can't just do basic math. Yeah, exactly. Right. You can't just do basic math on it. You actually have to do some testing for it.
I also think it's important to say that none of us are sitting here saying that vaping is 100% safe.
Yeah.
It's harm reduction. I'm perfectly fine with people smoking if they want to smoke, if that's their choice. I mean, if people want to take the risk and vape a super high watt build, fucking let them. I don't care. That option should exist.
Right.
That's my personal opinion.
Yeah.
Jason from GenTwo just said 400 normal, 500 red hot.
Yep. Project 2501 had a question. He wanted to know
what's the recommended amount of dedicated WAM
on the GenTwo box.
Which question?
Got him!
What's the recommended amount of dedicated WAM on the GenTwo box?
Here, just answer with this. I don't know what happened there, but none of those were supposed to play.
I was like, what are you playing there?
I don't. It just got stuck in a loop. I was gonna play this.
That's what I thought you were gonna play.
That's what my brain thought it was gonna play too, but that's not what happened.
I mean, you can always just go with this one's old, but you could always just go with this one when talking about the GenTwo.
Just I'm gonna light a grenade and leave it in my hand. Hope nothing bad happens.
Nothing bad happens.
One of the things somebody asked what the builds are like for it. I think it was a little bit further up there, but we do recommend that you don't just take it right out of the box and go to a cloud comp with it. Practice a little bit building for it because it is a little bit different. We do macro coils on it. Like I said, it's a 5/32 coil. That's what we run at least, and it's a little bit easier to do that. And that's one of the things that we kind of liked was we got back to normal size, easy to build coils rather than getting smaller and smaller and smaller. The other thing is getting it to wick correctly. That typically, I mean, it took us a couple days to really get our competition builds wicking correctly, and that was something that we tried really, really hard on. Jason, his fingers were all torn up from drill bits and stuff, and stepping on Canthal.
Did you try using Rayon for your comp builds?
We actually do use Rayon now, and that works perfectly for me and my 500 watt build. That's what we're running in all of our comp builds now. And it's great. The one trick with that though is that it shrinks up a little bit. We found when you pack it in.
Oh yeah.
I actually use 1.5 strands in mine, and it's really tight in there, and it's kind of counterintuitive because you're not used to packing the cotton that tight in the coils, but it wicks beautifully. It's awesome.
Are you guys? Do you have or are you planning on having tutorials for building addies for it?
Yeah, I think so. What we do with the wholesalers right now is we try to get out to their store. We're actually going to be at, I think it's Uptown on Saturday for their grand opening, and they're one of our wholesalers. So we're going to get out there and show everybody, how to charge and be there in person. We should have the whole team down there. And one of the things that we're going to be doing is we're going to be putting up a charging video on the website as well as coil tutorials and things like that, just to kind of help. I mean, I know that everybody knows how to build and how to charge things, but just to give them the run through and just make sure that there aren't any questions about it.
Okay, cool. Let's let some questions roll in. Do we want to swing into tech time? Because I know you want to talk a little bit about.
Yep, I'll move over while you got the questions going.
All right. And then again, you guys are what 180.
Are you? Have you? Sorry, did you have something? I thought you were.
Right.
Do you guys have another product in mind, or is that hush hush at the moment?
Actually, we have a couple products in mind. They're already designed. We're going to be coming out with a couple regulated devices, and we already have the boards designed. We do all of it in-house, which gets to be kind of a pain sometimes because sometimes I just stare at a CAD drawing for 12 hours a day. But we try to handle a lot of that stuff in-house so we can kind of retain control over everything. We like for our scrubs to be found out by us, like in our 6 weeks of beta testing or in our 2 months of beta testing, instead of having to trace down who screwed something up. So we do have one that's coming out soon, I guess. We're still kind of working with GE about a question that we had with the chip. They are not very responsive, given the chips they're that big. But we're going to be doing 110 watt with USB out on it, and I think that we're going to be doing a 200 watt pretty soon. That one I think might come out a little bit before the 110. We were really hoping to get the 110 out like a month ago, but it's just been GE's been dragging their feet with it, and it's we're looking into different chips at this point instead of the GE chip.
So,
Fair enough. I would
my
imagine
thing
that those chips are probably not their highest grossing product. They may.
Yeah, exactly. And if we buy 300 or 400 of them, we aren't really breaking the bank for them. So they don't really care too much about us.
I'm ready when you're on.
Are
Sean.
we good on tech time?
Yep.
And now tech time with Mass Blast.
Wow. That was loud. Okay. So,
RIP in peace, headphone users.
no kidding. I posted on Reddit a couple days ago about, it's funny that we were just talking about, talking to GE and being responsive and stuff like that. I got word from Keystone Electronics and Manufacturing, the people who make the Keystone sleds that everybody seems to love to use, that they're coming out with a upgrade. You can call it an upgrade. You can call it an addition to their sleds, where they're going to, as you can see on the picture above, they're going to have modified tabs on them, where the tab is going to come out of the back so people can solder onto them. Okay, and the degree of on the actual part that sticks out that usually catches the battery, most people will actually take that and bend it backwards. Well, they've taken that into consideration too and done that for you already. So these sleds will come with the solder tab. They won't have the surface mount tabs on them anymore. And I think this is really cool, because this has been a huge drive for modders and everybody else, actually showing that there is a change happening with people who are modding and doing all these things, when companies like Keystone, who make battery holders and all that stuff for hundreds of other things.
Terrible beer.
Yeah, and they basically are listening and saying, well, here's a huge demand. I mean, they know it. The demand for their sleds is insane, and they know it. And this is something that they're making a change for, which I think, kudos to them. It's pretty awesome. So there you see the new style of contactor or connector, and you can see the bend on it. And this is directly from them, and this will be coming out in the next few weeks. I don't have an actual date. When I do, we'll let you guys know. I don't know if they're going to sell them by themselves, in addition to being in the sleds. So, and now what I wanted to show you guys is the main difference. And here we have
a diagram of the female reproductive system, right?
So basically, here is the actual Keystone. This is the 1049 part number with the gold contacts, and you see it has the, let me pull my video up here so I can see this better. You can see it has the surface mount tabs on here. So usually what you have to do is you have to come in, and I've seen some people leave these on and just coat the bottom of their box with something, and they'll go and put them inside of the box, and that's a little sketchy to me. Okay, so I always suggest, usually you'll come in, you'll pull the connector out, okay, and we'll pull one of these out right now so you can see. There's the contact, okay, and I usually like to draw an imaginary line right here, right below where these little tabs. You don't want to cut these off, because this is what actually holds it in place. So right below that, okay, and I come in with either my snips. Tin snips work really good for this, because this is really thick. If you've modded before and cut these off, you know that even using some lineman pliers, it's still pretty tough to cut through that. Okay, so this is what they look like normally. They also have these tabs on the bottom, because one of the #1 uses for these sleds is for memory retention in motherboards and servers and all that other cool stuff. So these usually snap down into the motherboard, and that's why they have these, surface mount tabs. So you pull it out, you take it, and you cut the tab on it. All right, I'll show one here that I've cut already. Okay, and if you look, let me see one that I've done and one that I haven't done. Okay, actually this one will work. So if you look at these two, you can see the difference in the bend here. Okay, you see that extra bend that I've done to that? What that'll do is, when you have your battery and you have this inner piece and it's making contact, okay, you see how there's no way for that to get caught.
And set your mod on fire like I did my Duke a long time ago.
And set your mod on fire versus something like this, which can easily go under there, make contact, and you dead short the battery. Okay, so all I did was I came in here with my needle nose pliers, and I just bent this inwards, like that. This is something that we kind of covered with the other sleds that I had. I just wanted to get some keystone in here. Okay, and you can just little by little be bending them down like that. You don't need much, okay? And you get a nice little bend on them. Now the cool thing is the new ones will already come like this. All right. Here's the other challenge. So you take this guy and you put it back down into your sled. Now you're going to go solder. Okay. Well, you only have this small area to solder. And this is plastic, and you touch this with your soldering iron, it's going to melt. So it looks like a big old gnarly mess when you try to do this. That's why they're including tabs. The new tabs will stick out like this. You can solder to them and then push them back down, which is going to be really cool. All right. So you say, well, hey, Mass, I got a bunch of these, or I'm getting some of these because the new ones aren't going to be out for a while. What do I do? So to mount them, snip these guys off. So you can easily come in, and it's just plastic, so you can just cut them off. And then you can take a file and sand that down. Okay. Cut them both off. And when you pull them out, throw one up on your helping hand, and you just have to remember that there's going to be a line down the middle of this. Okay, let me set these guys up. So if what I like to do sometimes is I'll take the file and I'll scribe on it right down the middle so it adheres very well. Now here's the trick: you don't want to get any solder to the sides, because that's going to prevent it from sliding up and down. Okay, so you can do this on the outside, not on the sled itself, but even on the sled, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you out here. It's easy. Okay, so you just come up and put some solder there. You still might have some that drifts to the edges, so that's a little iffy. Good way of doing this without burning this guy is having something that's going to hold this for you. So let's go ahead and put this guy in. How are we doing on time?
We're good. Go for it.
You know.
Okay.
Do what you gonna do.
And now that it's on there, okay, it's not going to move. We'll take some solder paste and just hit this guy right there. And we will take, let's get our wire. And I have a pretend positive wire here. We'll take our iron. And I usually like to come in and make sure that's nice and warm there. And we'll drop a bead. A bead. That's really all you need, okay? See that? See how that you know, you don't have to go the whole length or anything like that. Just a nice good size bead. Take your wire. Depending on how you're going to run this, you can cut a channel into this if you wanted to, you know, for the bottom of the sled. However you're going to do it, okay? We're just going to go this direction. And let's pretend the soldering iron here. And go down. And there you go. Okay. Now, so what happens if you say, all right, so I got this all soldered up, everything's good, but my batteries are still sticking. You know, I didn't bend this back far enough. That's okay, because you've done this in the middle, and you see where the middle's at, so you can still come in, carefully pull this out, bend this back down or bend it up, whatever you need to do. Sometimes when you're bending these, you don't give it enough tension for flat top batteries, so you have to bend the top part out a little bit. You're done. Throw it back on your needle nose. Back down into the channel. And just push them down, make sure they're tight. And there you go. You can run this wire either way. But that's pretty much how you do it with these guys. Okay. Now, I've seen some people that will sometimes bolt this thing through in a box. You don't need to do that. Unless you want rivets and stuff on the other side of the box. If you cut these guys off and you mount it flat, you can use some epoxy or anything like that to, hold this guy down, but you don't have to bolt this through. So these are just here because on some applications, that's how they're held in. So there you have it. Some people cut these tabs off. I like to leave them on. It fits the batteries fine. So there you go. Done.
Nice. All right. So I got two more questions for you, particularly Sam. Right now you're in pre-order on ordered boxes, yeah?
Yeah.
What's the turnaround time?
3 weeks.
Okay. Is it full prepay up front?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know for people. And question number 2, because like you said, it's a bit different. Vaping at 8.4 volts is a little bit different than what most people are used to. And you have a few of these out in the world now. What kind of feedback have you gotten? What kind of stuff have you heard from people about the experience?
The biggest thing that we like to tell people, and we usually they get it pretty well the first try with this, is if you're running, say, a 0.2 on a 4.2 volt system, you multiply it by 4. So you want to run a 0.8 on it for the same wattage that you're already running. Then you can kind of start to work your way down a little bit. What people tend to do a lot of times is they'll take their 0.22 or something, their 0.25, and they'll just slap it on top of the box and say, we're good. And then that's how you get a really gnarly dry hit right off the bat, because they're typically small coils. Like I said, we're going to be doing some building tutorials and things like that. But that's the main thing to remember is for the same wattage, you just want to go 4 times your build curve.
What has been user experience running it at 8.4? Not at the same wattage, but running it, as at what it's built for, at that 3, 4, 500 watts.
So far, everybody seems to love them. We're getting into more and more stores now just because of the ones that we have out there in the wild. People have been talking about them so much that it seems to be working really, really well. We did originally we tried a 3-cell in it, and that just didn't work very well for us. But we found that 2 cells, you can still get really good flavor out of it, still get good vapor production. It seems to be working for people really well.
Okay, and I've talked to a lot of people who are pretty impressed. I know a guy hit one after he hit his Hexome, and he took a hit, and then he hit his Hexome again, and he said, wow, I feel like this Hexome's a toy.
Yeah, that's actually what Matt had said before, because he got his a little bit later on, because Alex is the original one, like the prototype box, then Jason got one, then I got one. And Matt, poor Matt, we stuck him with his tube mod still for quite a while, and he was pretty bummed out about it, because he would use mine when we're out at a comp or something, or out at a vape meet, and then he would go back to his, and he's like, man, it's just not working for me. Like, it just doesn't do it.
And then a question in chat from Dogmods before we close. Why not just do a single 3-pin plug on the outside, because you can balance charge with those 3 pins with a custom harness?
I like to keep it as 2 pins, or as the 2 plugs, just because that's the way that the batteries come, and that's the way that the chargers are set up. We can do it that way, but I don't feel, to be honest, I don't feel as comfortable using those 3 pins because the wiring from those pins to the battery is substantially smaller than the charging port pins. Now the charger does max out at 5 amps, so it's not, it's not a big concern, but it's still enough of a concern to us that we would rather, have the right size wiring, have more than enough wiring in there for it. And we tend to see that a lot too with some box mod builds and stuff like that. Where we were at VaporCon and I saw one, I can't remember who made it, but the positive 510 wire was, excuse me, it looked like Cat 5 cable. It was, it was like, it was just, I cringed a little bit just looking at it, and kind of just turned around and walked away. So that's one of the things that we really look at when we were building them, was what gauge wiring we wanted to use for everything.
Okay.
Cool.
And then somebody asked what stores carry or will be carrying it in the future.
So far, Vape Loft has ordered. They're down in Edgewater.
That's Edgewater, Maryland, for anybody.
Yeah, Edgewater, Maryland. I'm sorry, I forget that you guys are nationally on there. We're only in Maryland stores.
Bitch.
Yeah, international bitch.
My bad, guys. My bad. I'll be on Crucifixions next week for that. So yeah, we're only in Maryland stores right now. We just started like 2 months ago or so, but we're pretty quickly expanding. We're in Vape Loft in Edgewater, Maryland. Pleasant Vapes down in they're in Calvert County. They're pretty far south. Then Uptown Vapes, that we're going to be at their grand opening on Saturday, and they're in Laurel. They're just opening up. That's a great store, by the way. We're really, really happy to be in with them. And the Knoll, I think we've been talking with them. I'm not quite sure if we're going to be working with them or not, but we're really hoping to. And then I think after that, we might try and pick up one more store and then leave the state. Go hit some other ones. We're talking to a couple stores in California that we really want to get into as well.
Okay. And does anybody have any closing comments?
Thug life.
Are you going to be offering? Is the box always going to come as the plain aluminum, or are you going to be offering any kind of color options or anything like that in the future?
For the mech, we are going to keep the plain aluminum.
Okay.
I think that we're talking about with the regulated devices, and we're talking about doing a mech light, which will be a 4.2 volt system. It'll probably be in something around like a G box instead, something like that, just a little bit smaller.
Okay.
And I think that we might be doing those in colors, because that's something that we definitely want to branch into. We're hoping to branch into something like anodizing in the future, especially because instead of the paint, we just like anodized stuff so much better. It looks so much cleaner and nicer.
So you would basically just add a smaller charge to options that people can pick and choose?
Yeah, exactly. There'll be a couple different ones.
Nice.
And one of our regulars asked, and I think this is a really good question to end on. Sea Death asked, when are you going to be doing the next Hangover movie?
I was literally just talking with my friends the other day. I guess it was like Saturday morning or something. We were all at brunch, and somebody said that I looked like Zach Galifianakis. It was like, does nobody realize how offensive that is?
No, not just Zach Galifianakis. I think Zach Galifianakis and Bob Vila had a baby.
You're the meanest person I've ever met. A year or two ago, one of my mom's friends had said that I look like Seth Rogen, and I almost burst out in tears, like on the spot. And she was like, "No, I think he's really cute and funny. You laugh just like him."
I think he's ugly and he sucks.
I know, it's like he's ugly, but then she said that I laughed like him, and it just got more and more offensive as we went on. I did go home and cry myself to sleep that night.
That's fair.
Word.
Cool.
Man, thanks for coming on. Thanks for talking about your mod. Do you want to hold it up for everybody so they can see?
Oh, yeah.
Sorry for being late, everyone.
It's mine's pretty worn now. It's I kind of put it through the ringer, but
very cool.
Everybody who watched and who will watch this replay.
Plain box militia.
Yeah, right.
I'm up for life, bitch.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks everybody.
Thanks everybody. Come by.
What they hit do? What they hit do? What they hit do? What they hit do?
Where they at, though?